Renji stumbled through the swirling mist. He couldn't remember how he got here. A crumbling city loomed before him, shrouded in an unnatural twilight. Buildings stretched skyward, their peaks lost in the swirling grey above. He was utterly alone, or so he thought. A pair of silver eyes pierced the gloom. A girl, no older than him, stood in the shadow of an archway. Her gaze was intense, unnerving. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered, her voice like wind chimes in a graveyard. "He is coming." Fear coiled in Renji's gut. "Who is coming?" he asked, his voice a dry rasp. "Who are you?" The girl took a step closer. Her eyes seemed to glow brighter. "They call me Aya," she said, "and you are in terrible danger." A cold wind howled through the ruins, carrying a voice on the breeze. It whispered of forgotten things, of lost memories, of a darkness that consumed all. Renji felt a chill crawl down his spine. "What is that sound?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Aya's eyes darted towards the source of the wind. "The Whispering Man," she said, her voice tight with fear. "He is the keeper of secrets, and he wants you silenced." Renji felt a surge of defiance. "What secrets?" he demanded. "What is this place?" Aya shook her head, her expression pained. "This place is forgotten," she said, "lost to time. But it holds the key to your past, Renji, and to your future." They moved through the desolate city, the Whispering Man's voice always at their heels. Aya led him towards a massive skeletal structure in the distance. A library, its windows like vacant eyes. Inside, cobwebs clung to towering shelves filled with ancient tomes. Dust swirled in the stale air. "What are we looking for?" Renji asked, his voice echoing in the silence. "Answers?" Aya replied, her gaze sweeping the endless rows of books. "The Whispering Man wants to keep you in the dark. He wants you to forget." She pulled a heavy book from its perch, its leather cover cold and dry beneath her fingers. The air grew colder. Renji watched as Aya frantically flipped through the book, her brow furrowed in concentration. He could feel the Whispering Man's presence growing stronger, the temperature dropping with every passing moment. "What is it?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "What does it say?" Aya slammed the book shut, her eyes wide with alarm. "He's close," she whispered. "Too close." She grabbed his hand, her grip surprisingly strong. "We have to go, now." Renji hesitated, fear warring with a growing sense of urgency. "But the answers," he protested. "What about the answers?" Aya met his gaze, her silver eyes blazing. "There's no time," she said. "Your life is in danger. Trust me." The library shuddered as the shadows came alive. They writhed and twisted, taking on grotesque forms. Claws scraped against the stone floor, accompanied by guttural growls. Renji froze, his blood turning to ice. Aya pushed him behind her, her small frame a fragile shield against the encroaching darkness. "Run!" she shouted, her voice echoing through the chamber. Renji didn't need to be told twice. He turned and ran, his heart pounding in his chest. The shadows gave chase, their forms stretching and contorting, reaching for him with grasping claws. He could feel their icy breath on his neck. Renji stumbled through the darkness, the shadows hot on his heels. He could hear Aya behind him, her voice lost in the echoing chamber. He risked a glance back. She was holding them off, her small figure radiating a blinding light. But the shadows were relentless, their forms constantly shifting and reforming. He saw an open doorway, a sliver of light beyond. Hope surged through him. He pushed himself harder, his legs burning with exertion. As he burst through the doorway, he heard Aya cry out. He didn't look back. He couldn't. He found himself in a narrow alleyway, the sounds of the library fading behind him. He collapsed against the cold stone wall, Gasping for breath, the shadows hadn't followed. For now, he was safe. But Aya, guilt twisted in his gut. He had left her behind. She sacrificed herself for you. The voice, cold and devoid of emotion, sent shivers down Renji's spine. The whispering man stepped out of the shadows, his features obscured by the swirling darkness. But her sacrifice won't be in vain. Renji scrambled back, fear gripping him like a vice. The whispering man's presence was suffocating, the air thick with menace. "What do you want?" Renji choked out, his voice trembling. The figure chuckled, the sound like dry leaves rustling in a graveyard. "You are the key, Renji," he said, his voice a low whisper that seemed to slither into Renji's very being. "The key to unlocking the secrets of this place. The key to unleashing a power beyond your wildest imagination." Renji shook his head, his mind reeling. "I don't understand," he whispered. "What power?" The whispering man leaned closer, his voice a silken caress. "The power to reshape reality itself," he whispered. "To rewrite the past, to control the future." He extended a hand, his fingers tipped with shadows that pulsed with an eerie light. "Join me, Renji," he purred. "Together we can rule this world and countless others." Renji stared at the outstretched hand, at the swirling darkness that seemed to beckon him closer. He thought of Aya, of her sacrifice, her last words echoing in his ears. "Trust me." He knew then that the whispering man spoke the truth. He could feel a power within himself, a power he never knew existed. But at what cost? He had a choice to make. Follow the whispering man into the seductive embrace of the shadows, or find another way. A way to honor Aya's sacrifice and face the darkness on his own terms. The fate of countless worlds hung in the balance.